Alright, what I've done here is try to model the geometry of the existing injector port in the Mercedes. I don't have a good way of measuring inside diameters, but I use the calipers to get the depths of all the landings, and then just used the current injector holder for the Bosch mechanical injectors. Got the diameters off of that and then added just a little bit. And I think that's gotten me pretty close in the ballpark. Now I'm just taking a section cut of it. This depth on the final diameter is a little bit variable because the roof of the intake track is curved, and so that removes a little material from here. This is the model of the current K-jetronic injector holder, and I know from playing with it on the engine that it does in fact um, seat down here at this change in diameter. And it looks like it protrudes into the intake track just a little bit. So I've looked at a few different injectors. One of them are these old style. These are used a lot on like Ford 5 liters from the mid 90s. I think this one's actually a Deca. Yeah, Deca injector. If you compare them, very similar in diameters actually, and the O-ring, would be right here. And this actually pushes into the um, cylinder head where the injector port, and it seems to seal, and then it looks like it's getting stopped by this big diameter right here. So these would probably be the easiest things to use because you don't really need to make an adapter for this part. Um, though I would recommend to make some kind of washer spacer to make sure that they all stop, because I did see one of the guys on the forums said that when he put this in, it actually went too far into the little port, and the O-ring, expanded out into the intake runner. And when he tried to remove it, it actually rolled the O-ring off, and it dropped into his intake port. So I think you probably should make something just to stop it from going too far. And I've modeled it um, here. So this is kind of the geometry of the larger injector. And it actually kind of goes down to here. I may not have some of the spacing here right, or there's a big taper here. Let me just hide the holder. But this height here is very small. I've actually probably over exaggerated it here in the model. It's not much of a landing, but there's enough there to get the O-ring on. And I said it might make contact here and stop it, but the real problem with these injectors is that it's hard to find these large body injectors now. I think some companies are making them, but surely all the OEMs have gotten away from them. And it's just kind of an older style injector. A lot of them are single hole, or you might get two hole. It's not a very good spray. They're lower pressure. Well, I was having trouble finding an affordable set of them, so I wanted to look at some of the more modern injectors. So if we get rid of that, this is what a lot of the people online use. This is a EV14, which is the most recent kind of port fuel injector Bosch makes. This is the compact, so it's short, and then it's the extended nozzle. And this has the benefit of, with this nozzle, you can really, put this injector kind of anywhere you want it. I think most OEMs usually have their injector recessed just slightly. And then you can make an adapter that just fills in all this area. Kind of has, you make an adapter, steps into here, and then has another step on it for this to seat, which is what a lot of the people online have done. The only issue with these is I know for a fact that Bosch has said they're going to discontinue them, and I've already looking online, they're hard to find. I found an actual Bosch set of these on Amazon not too long ago, I think for $250. And now the only place I found them is I found one website that had a set for $380. That's pretty much it. I think they were used in some kind of Renault engine or something. I'm not too sure. But Bosch said they're gonna stop supporting these. And I really want a part that's readily available. It's not too expensive. Let me just hide this. This is their EV14 as well, but it's the standard length and it's the normal nozzle. This is pretty much how most injectors are. I was having these you can find, they're a little bit more pricey. I think what I've settled on, and I've actually purchased a set, showing the camera here. This is a set of AC Delco injectors from like a 5.3 liter. It's from a flex fuel vehicle, so they have a pretty high flow rate. It's got the US car, or US car, whatever they call it, connector style. It's a little bit shorter, I think, than the standard length EV14, but you can find sets of these on eBay very cheap. I mean, $100 for AC Delco parts. Um, these are reproduction ones. Um, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on something if I wasn't 100% sure I could make it work. So I just got some knockoffs on Amazon. I got the whole set for $80 or something. So I've kind of modeled it up here just to kind of figure out where maybe I could put it. Something to note is it has, and I've seen that on these large ones as well. Sometimes they have this like cap, just like a little plastic cap that goes over here, like this. See how it has this plastic cap. I'm not really sure if it does anything. I can't really seem to remove it, but my concern is, we look back in the model, my concern is if I were to just put this in here, anywhere here, could this cap fall off and end up in my intake? This beige color, yellow, is the adapter I've modeled. So this would be slid into the intake port, or the injector port, I should say. I don't think that's actually in the intake manifold, it's in the cylinder head. But you'd slide this in the injector port. It would have an O-ring here and seat probably on this landing down here because this radius I have to try to avoid, um, or use this chamfer here, try to get it to seat there. Either way, I've put a stop on it, which makes it a little harder to produce these because if I didn't have this landing here, I could just use a drill bit and go all the way through. But then that brings up the concern. I'm using a chamfer up here to stop the injector. If I didn't have this landing, could this cap fall off and end up in the engine? I tried pulling it off, but it, I don't know, it doesn't seem to move, so I'm not sure how well affixed it is. It seems pretty good, but I know on those large injectors, I've had them come off before just from removing them out of an old intake manifold. So I put that stop right there, and I'll have to raise this up a little bit. Just kind of show. Um, that's kind of what I was originally designing, and you would just stick this in here. It'd be really easy to make. I just not sure how big of a concern that cap coming off would be. I can't move it. I mean, it's seems to be on there pretty good, but it's probably worth my time to put that step in there. Raise that up a little bit. Save. Refresh. There we go. Oops. Oh, not sure how I keep end up grabbing that. Okay. There we go. So it would just sit like that. It's kind of far away. But because this bore is quite a bit bigger, don't think it'll have a problem. Not entirely certain what the cone spray is on these. But I think this would work fine. Usually these have like a 30-degree angle, kind of on the higher side. So even, I think it'll clear everything fine. I'm not sure. It sure would be nice to not have to worry about this feature at the bottom, because that would significantly speed up making these on the lathe. Instead of using like a boring bar, I could just drill all the way through it. Let me know what you guys think. Guess another thing is, not that I think it could happen, because once this O-ring is compressed, I doubt it's going to come out of here, but this does allow really just retention of everything. Probably put a bigger hole in it. It doesn't need to be that small. But it also would keep the O-ring from any possibility of falling in there. So I don't think that's really a big issue because once this is compressed, I can't imagine it working its way out of there. But that's the plan, I think, is to go forward with these AC Delco um, style injectors. This adapter design, and I think it'll work pretty good. I'll see if I can make up one of these. Once I make the adapter and get it to fit the intake the way I want, I can kind of come back with those dimensions and update all this, have an accurate model, and then just start making a bunch of these. I have a 3D printer and I thought about 3D printing these adapters, but with how thin it is here, I'm not sure if that'd be a great idea. Then if it ever cracked or had some kind of delamination issue, I don't particularly want the plastic making its way into my intake or into the engine. But it is plastic, so I don't know if it would really damage the valves or not, but it's probably better just to not have to worry about it. Thanks for watching. Bye.